Hello, lovely chariot racers. Welcome back to the Guiding Chariot, and welcome to our first pick a card reading of the week. This one I really want to focus on this lunar eclipse that will be coming up tomorrow. I am filming this on the 25th, on Tuesday. The lunar eclipse will be peaking tomorrow for all of us. Timing will depend on where you are in the world, so I definitely recommend looking that up. But this is really going to be about what is shifting, what's changing, and how we can really best lean into this energy for it to help us. My friends, I'm sure, especially those of you who are sensitive to moon energy or just sensitive to energy in general, you guys are probably already feeling all kinds of things. I don't even want to tell you what you're feeling. But this is definitely going to be a crazy week. It is already a crazy week, I'm sure, for a lot of us. Starting today with the 25th, there actually is a lot already kind of shifting and happening. So as I get these cards ready for everyone, I kind of wanted to talk about the astrology a little bit so you guys kind of know what's up, why things are feeling a little wonky right now. There we go. And then we will get into your readings. So starting with today on the 25th, there we go. Now I can put that on the side. Starting with today, we have this really weird kind of collection of transits that are making this week very confusing. There also is the potential for there to be a clash, or even for some type of deception going on this week. It definitely can feel strained and tough and very frustrating. So we have two quincunxes coming into play. We've got a quincunx between the moon and Venus, as well as the moon and Mercury. Positively though, the moon also makes a trine to both Mars and Neptune. Those aspects actually can be supportive, right? Especially to our emotional body. But the clash is really between the three planets, Neptune, Venus, and Mercury. The three of those kind of don't like each other right now. There's a lot of tension going on. And then you take that followed directly by this full moon eclipse in Sagittarius, which is where I think a lot of that energy is really going to come to a head, right? Because that's what the eclipse is about. Full moons naturally are about releasing and forgiving and letting things go. This particular eclipse moon is really supercharging that energy. So as much as it is, an even more powerful window to practice some forgiveness and practice some releasing, it's also going to bring a lot of those tensions up to the surface to make them really obvious, right? So then we can work with them, right? So in a way it's a good thing, but it's going to feel very, very hard for some of us depending what's coming up. And you're not going crazy if you're just like, why does everything feel like it's falling apart? Why does it feel like the world is literally crumbling around me? That's kind of what's happening, right? The universe is kind of shaking all the rubble loose. It's digging up all that yucky stuff that's kind of been buried for a long time, or even buried under the foundation. Like, we've built things on top of this stuff now, whether they be relationships, friendships, businesses. Literally things have been built on top of this really ucky, dark stuff, and the universe is like, it's time, we got to get this out. So for some of you, it literally could be ripping it through these solid foundations. Well, not solid, obviously. So I mean, you may be feeling a lot of, I feel like crumbling is just the right word for it. You may feel like a lot of things are crumbling, that especially things you thought like that nothing was going to happen there. Why is this so challenging all of a sudden? This is also going to be a great eclipse for possible turnarounds, right? So repairing something, shifting something. We have that Mercury retrograde coming up in a few days as well, right? So then we get a chance to do things over again. So maybe it crumbles this week, but then we really sift through the rubble and find ways to save it next week, right? So don't feel too bad about that. And then on top of that kind of supercharged eclipse energy to find releasing and freedom in certain situations that we can let go. All these things kind of come to a head definitely tomorrow. Nice thing is that energy honestly doesn't last very long. And I truly mean that. Especially with that clash between those three planets I mentioned before, because literally they get into a funk on the 25th. On the 27th, Venus and Mercury. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I remember correctly. But I believe on the 27th, I'm pretty sure it's Venus and Mercury actually come into conjunction. Actually, they come into a conjunction with the moon as well. Yes. Let me double check that, because now that I say it out loud, I'm like, hold on a second. Yes, I was right. So the moon, Venus, and Mercury all come into a conjunction. There is still a little bit of a square there with Neptune. That, I would say, the hardest part about that square aspect is going to be your kind of escapist tendencies. Instead of really dealing with this energy, you may prefer just to run away from it. I'm going to ignore it and la 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 la. The building's not burning. Da 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 da. That is an energy you do not want to give into, right? Especially now that literally the same day that happens, that's the same day everything else kind of comes into alignment. So now we can work through, right? We can communicate our feelings. We can open up about our opinions. We can find safe spaces to express ourselves. We can also look for things that are more abundant and fruitful, right? With that Venus aspect, things that feel better to us. So it's gonna be a really wonky time. If I wasn't so busy earlier this week, it probably would have been helpful for me to get this out earlier, because literally most of what I'm talking about is probably hitting right now as I'm filming this, right? So your Monday and your Tuesdays could feel a little extra cray this week. Wednesday, honestly, it can come to a head, and really, that could be like the bust day, but that's also the day everything gets reset. And then Thursday, things start to fall into place. Clarity starts to come through. We start to see the things starting to work out. And over the course of this eclipse season, you can also see why things had to unfold the way they did. A simple example, if something falls apart, whether it's, a work situation, whether maybe a relationship comes to an end, you will see over the course of eclipse season, why that happened. Either this wasn't the right person, or there were some things that need to be fixed, right? But that's where Mercury retrograde lets you re-examine all those things. So just because something falls apart this week doesn't necessarily mean it's meant to be gone forever, right? But something definitely needed to be repaired, and now we're just bringing it to a kind of point where we can do such a thing. Forgiveness also going to be a big thing. We're gonna cut to the readings right after this, because I don't want to make this too long. But because of this super eclipse moon, especially since it's in Sagittarius with all these Neptune placements, this is a great window to practice forgiveness, because again, you have this eclipse moon that's kind of boosting that release, giving a little oomph to this. So if you practice a forgiveness, routine with the full moon, this is going to be the full moon to do it with, right? Really write that stuff out. Maybe you can read it out loud or read it to yourself, and then burn it before the full moon happens. I think that would be a great practice this full moon, and super, super healing, and really letting things go, and really think about it. Am I ready to let this go? What's the benefit to it if I do or if I don't even, right? You can look at it both sides and really attack it logically. But definitely something I think it would be really helpful to work with this particular moon cycle. With that said, here are your 3 choices. We'll make this choice, where are we? 1, 2, and 3, right? So stack 1, stack 2, stack 3 in the end. Timestamps will be down below. Click them and find out what your message is for this lunar eclipse. We'll see you in a moment. Bye. Welcome back, stack number 1. Let's get into your message. Hey, look at that. So you guys have new moon in Libra, a new romantic cycle begins. Love this. So with this coming out as your message for the lunar eclipse, I talked a lot about how lunar eclipses are great emotional resets, right? Because we're blacking out, the moon, which is our emotional body, and allowing for this clean start, right? Our system reboot. So what is going on a lot with you is shifting your perceptions of relationships, how they could be, what they should be. For some of you, there may be clear endings as far as relationships are going. And again, that's to make space for a new cycle, a new routine. So whether this is a current relationship kind of reaching its culmination, reaching its terminal end, there's going to be a lot of I really want to talk about heart opening for some reason. It's just what keeps coming up to my mind. But a lot of kind of releasing old perceptions, you know, opening up to more. And I specifically say more because I feel like for those who have relationships that are ending, I almost would kind of argue that within this relationship there was a lot of settling. Like, well, you know, I can tolerate this, I can deal with that, I don't need the whole da 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 da. And you maybe both of you, I don't want to call anyone out, but it just felt like we were getting maybe 80% of the deal when we wanted the full 100, right? And you have to kind of clear that out. That also has to do with perceptions, right? If you know, treat yourself like you only deserve 80%, right? Well, I'm not hot enough to get, you know, the really great guy, you know. Oh, I'm not, you know, masculine enough to get, you know, the beautiful woman, or, you know, the smart woman, or the whatever it is, right? Whatever adjectives you want to use. There's, I think, a big breaking point there is really the understanding of what you really deserve and what, you know, should be accepted versus what's just being tolerated and settled for. So there is this kind of shift more so within your perception of, you know, dating or romance or even, you know, life in relationships, right? There's a big shift on how that is centered around you, but a lot of it right now, I just keep getting this connection to like worthiness and like knowing you deserve this, knowing you deserve better or more, or, you know, more compassion or better communication, right? There's this big theme of just not settling for it, and just believing you can have it all. Like, you don't have to be like, well, I'm an 8, so I'm lucky if I even get a 7, right? Like, no, you kind of have to know that you deserve a 10. You are a 10. And then for some of you who are already there, you may honestly be breaking a relationship to make room for a 10, right? You maybe have just been like, well, I thought this was a great pairing, but, you know, I'm starting to see cracks. I'm starting to see, you know, there's things under the surface, right? So some relationships that are ending, they're really being, I don't want to say examined because that's not really the right word, but, you know, the faults are really being highlighted. And that doesn't mean every relationship is going to end, right? But there are going to be some that are really being highlighted to showcase, here's where we can do some major improvements. And, you know, are both people really prepared to do that? Right? Or is this just an opportunity where we can find some liberation? All right. Let's get into your messages. Oh. Okay. Right out the gate. 7 of Materials. This is about patience and harvest season. Harvest season for sure, right? It's time to reap the benefits. And right on top of that is 9 of Emotions. This is the 9 of Cups, wishes granted, right? So we have been waiting. We've been waiting for this fulfillment. We've been waiting for this dream, for this ideal. Maybe for some of us, we settled for something and thought it could become that. Thought we could water it and nurture it and turn it into this 9 of Cups. And I think a lot of us now are realizing we're not in this 9 of Cups, right? So now we have to make space for the actual true 9 of Cups to come. Like, you can even see the little genie lamp down in the bottom of this card. Then we have Queen of Inspiration. This would be the Queen of Wands. So again, this is that energy of being vibrant and radiant. Also an energy of manifesting, right? So this full moon, or I should just call it an eclipse. I mean, it is a full moon, but way bigger than that. Plus it's also a super moon. So we got lots of magical things going on. But this is really about attracting and magnetizing yourself. It's so funny. I'm looking at this, like I'm shuffling and looking at this 9 of emotions, and I know they're like little gems or diamonds or something floating around this figure. But like as I'm looking at, they kept giving me this, like they were like looking like the shape of a fragrance bottle or like a little perfume bottle, and I was just getting Christina Aguilera's "Genie in a Bottle" playing in the back of my brain, thinking about this, right? It just gives me this feel, it's time that I don't mean this to be the euphemism that it's going to sound like, but it's really time for someone to rub you the right way, right? But that also, like legit, that also includes yourself, right? And again, I don't mean it to be the euphemism it sounds like, even though it makes a perfect one. I'm probably going to be saying that the rest of the week. 9 of Voices. This would be the 9 of Swords. This is kind of, here, let me put these up. This is kind of this perfect kind of thing that's going on. So 9 of Voices is that voice that's like, you're not good enough, it's too scary, you can't, don't do it, it's fear-based. This is that energy that conflicts with this 9 of Cups. A lot of you that are connecting to this reading, especially the ones, and I kind of want to point this out to my singles, more so. Doesn't mean this can't be a lesson being learned for those in couples, but especially for my singles out there that are watching or picked Stacked 1. I feel like this is it's that battle between what what the vision is, what the happily ever after looks like, versus what I deserve or what I'm worth, right? I want the 10, but I'll be lucky to get the 6. Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So this is that voice that's just kind of fighting you and just kind of slowing you down. That's definitely that inner saboteur. But you're already showing up as the Queen of Inspiration, right? So there is this strength that lies within you that this voice is trying to undermine, right? And unfortunately, I feel like this is the voice that we've listened to in the past. Not now, but in the past, right? Really, this moon is about releasing yourself from that energy and really expecting more, believing in more, deserving more, because you already do, but it's understanding it in that mental space. Because we also have the 4 of materials and it's a 6, right? Yes. And 6 of materials. But 6 of materials is showing up in reverse. So holding on to this old pattern, holding on to this belief is what's keeping us out of flow, right? It's keeping us from receiving. And that's literally the point of what's happening here. And what's coming in, it doesn't have to be love. It can be just abundance in general. But I think for most of you, it really is about your relationships. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be romantic for some of you. I'm just saying that to, we're casting a wide net. But I think for most of you, that is a very important part of what you're manifesting. Whether it's a deeper connection with someone already in your life, or we're looking for, that divine union. That counterpart that, we can create a life with, we can share a life with. Because this is definitely not an energy of, finding your other half, right? And feeling complete with the other one. It's definitely not that, because you're already strong and beautiful and capable as you are. Yeah. Page of Emotions in reverse. I actually kind of like that, but oh god, that was an explosion. I actually really like that this card is in reverse, because to me it's echoing what's happening with this 4 of materials and this 6 of materials. It's really about shedding the past, right? The younger version of you. It may have also been a version that may have had some insecurities that we've worked through and we've healed, but the pattern hasn't changed, right? So we've kind of like worked on ourselves, become stronger and more confident, but the behavior still hasn't changed yet. And then we have, come here you two. And then we have the Moon card, so perfect synchronicity there, along with the Justice in reverse. To me, this Moon is signaling that this rebalancing is happening, right? Because right now, with the Justice card in reverse, things aren't even, things aren't balanced. I would even argue things aren't fair, is what I want to add in there. Right, because the Justice card, a lot of what, is carried in that card is about that divine equilibrium and that natural order. And yes, for sure, karma, that is definitely a thing. But this moon, what's happening as this moon resets and blacks out? It's resetting this as far as it's concerned with our emotional body and our emotional space. So definitely the potential for a lot of heart healing if, you know, we've been carrying around a lot of this particular energy that is coming up in this reading. Oh, this. Yeah, so more of that sword energy. Five of Voices is really that combative, manipulative, really, really harsh energy. And I think just kind of going off the flow of this reading, this is more, again, of your voice, being overly critical of you and being kind of mean, if I'm honest, right? And it's just about healing that and finding, those, do I really feel those? We're going to leave those. They whip themselves out of the deck, but okay. So we have Knight of Materials in reverse, Four of Emotions, as well as Knight of Emotions. I'm going to make that our last card. What was the bottom deck? Yep, bottom of the deck, as all of that came out, is the Star card, so having hope. But so we have two Knights, Knight of Pentacles and Knight of Cups. The Knight of Materials in reverse, to me, is great, actually. This can speak to being kind of impulsive, so be careful of that energy. But this is a change of pace, right? Because upright, this is a very slow-moving, very practical Knight. Once we can get this flow going, right? Once we can overcome these voices, the pace of things is going to pick up a lot. Again, be careful of being impulsive, right? We don't want to jump too quickly. But the change of pace is going to be what really opens us up. And the key there is this Four of Emotions and this Knight of Emotions. This Four of Emotions is kind of that, I always kind of describe it as like my pity party energy, you know, very seeing the glass half full versus half empty, right? You can kind of see that here. You know, actually, and it's so funny looking at this, it's almost kind of like the Star card is in here, right at the center of that seed of life, right between those two faces. But there is this need to let go of this perception. And then we have Knight of Emotions with the Knight of Cups, which a lot of times I read as a new suitor, right? This is new love coming in. So back to what we started at the top of this reading. So for sure, especially if you're single, like I just keep seeing single all over this. If you are single, this connection is really talking about, you know, one, having more faith in dating and what you're attracting and who your divine partner is, but a chunk of it is really in your self-worth and your self-value, and seeing how you've grown and evolved, and not kind of rating who you are presently against who you were, right? And seeing that you have changed. You're not the same person you were then. You know, you've grown in certain areas, you've matured in certain areas, you know, you've built your own life, you've built your own career. There's so much to be proud of around you. But it feels like we're clinging to a lot of these, you know, might have been painful words that were said to us, whether in a relationship or just, you know, kind of general. Letting go of some hurts, right? Maybe some, you know, what we deemed as failures in relationships in the past. But definitely some hurtful words, especially from outside, affecting how we see ourselves, and again, where we find our value and our worth. Letting go a lot of that, you know, kind of scarring and that wounding in this particular moon. I talked a lot about forgiveness, so honestly, maybe a good time to, you know, forgive those who have hurt you, because again, they can only meet you as far as they've met themselves. So a lot of that behavior probably came from inside of them and wasn't really about you. But again, we take that, we hear that, you know, it affects us. It starts to become, you know, part of our self-esteem and shapes all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But this is a great window to not only forgive them, but also forgive yourself, which sounds like a weird kind of thing. I remember when I started my own practice, you know, with gratitude, especially forgiveness, it was like, why do I don't feel bad about myself? But there is this kind of liberation when you can kind of accept that and be like, you know what? You know, I'm so sorry, I didn't know better. You know I should have never talked to myself like that, but I did because I was feeling a certain way, you know, and I can forgive myself for either believing what someone said about me or perpetuating something by just being like, well, if I'm stupid, I might as well just be stupid, right? so it's a lot of weird, funky things. So it actually is, I find it super healing to also, when you're practicing forgiveness, to also include yourself in there, just for the sake of, freeing yourself up and lifting that off of your shoulders. But then again, after all of that comes this night of emotions, which honestly, for most of the people watching this, I do think this is an emotional confession. This is someone bringing a love offer. For some of you, though, it can be an apology. So for those, currently in relationships, especially if things have been shaky and rocky, if you guys work through the difficulties, this is someone being able to be like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I'm so sorry, for the things I did that hurt you or affected the relationship in this way, right? Because that's still an emotional offer, which is what the Knight of Cups talks about, right? So whether it's an offer of love or it's an apology. But for that to come in, you have to open up for it, right? We're going to pull one more card before I let this go and let you guys go. Oh, or we're going to get 3. You guys are going to get a big one. All right. Or is it 4? No, 3. All right. Okay, so first one out. We've got signs. Oh, sorry for the light. Hope you guys can read that. There we go. So signs. The universe has been gently nudging you forward by revealing to you signs and synchronicities. So whatever signs that catch your attention, whether for me, a lot of times for me, it's finding feathers on the ground when I'm outside, but it could be angel numbers for you. It could be seeing certain animals. Big thing to be aware of. Also be very aware of what you were talking about or thinking about when that happened. That's usually spirit trying to be like, hey, that was important. Pay attention to that thing. You also have starseed here as well. So raise the vibration of the planet through your radiant, loving light. To me, this is really connected to this star card up here. Having that energy of hope and optimism and being the light. This week may feel very emotionally turbulent for you, which that energy is really easy to kind of push us into the dark. So to me, this starseed card is really about tapping into your personal power and remaining positive, remaining optimistic, and pushing through all of that, not letting that darkness weigh you down. And then your last card out is dreams. The universe speaks to you through your dreams. So literally some of these signs can be coming through your dream world and through your dream space. This would be a great week to have, a pen and pad next to you in the, on the nightstand. Write down your dreams, especially if you're noticing they're more vivid than usual. Keeping a log of that and seeing, maybe there are certain patterns that come through. There might be certain things that make you feel a certain way about a situation that comes through your dreams that, again, are helping you to guide you and, kind of tell you what your next step is, what the next course of action is. But beautiful healing as far as relationships are concerned, but also a lot of self-worth is what I'm feeling in here. And again, that can go whether you're single or in a relationship. But there's a lot of self-worth and how you view yourself and where you find value within you and how that shapes how you show up to relationships. All right, my loves. I'm going to send you guys out there. If you like this reading, please make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Let me know what stack you picked. I'm always interested to see how many people pick each stack and kind of see who's on similar paths through these cycles. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's the best way to be notified when the next reading pops up. But until then, guys, stay safe, take care of yourselves. I'll see you in our next reading. Bye. Hello, stack number 2. Welcome to your reading. All right. Ooh, knocked it over. Okay. So your message for this eclipse is the mutable moon. Nothing is yet set in stone. All right. So this is one of those cards that can be kind of frustrating when you get it, but I think it has a really positive message. If there are certain things that are trying you or frustrating you, or I almost want to say if you see things like that are being stagnant and you're like, gosh, excuse me, like, is this it? Is this the end? Is this where we go? The message is no, things are still changeable, right? None of this is permanent, right? And not in the sense where like everything is temporary, which we know is true, but this isn't final. Like whatever draft you're in as far as your situation or as far as your reality, whatever draft you're in, this isn't the final one, right? We can still rewrite things. Things are still changing, right? The clay hasn't set yet, right? The paint is still wet. We can still add and touch things up. So whatever is kind of happening, and I feel like this is something that's kind of already started, you know, it's already been in motion. So whether this is a project, a work thing, you know, career path, doesn't have to be work, that's just what keeps coming up. Know that, like, I feel like whatever path you can see now, or whatever trajectory you're on now with this particular situation, it's not fixed, it's not set. So if you're looking down the outcome and you're kind of like, oh, whatever, like, why even bother? You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily where it's going to go, right? It doesn't mean something can't be done about it. For a very small fraction of you, I don't think this is many, because I think more so it's something that, like, looks like it's going nowhere, or looks like it's not going to pan out the way you want it, but there's still action we can put into it to change that. I think for a small portion of you, things might actually be heading in a really good direction that you're excited about, but then the message is really about, you know, don't get too lazy, don't get too complacent, because that's not guaranteed yet. Like, you're on the path for it to look really good, but, you know, if we drop the ball, if we drop too many of them, you know, we can alter that in the negative. And like I said, I don't feel like that's many. But if you were hearing that first message, you're like, actually, I'm kind of thrilled with the way things are going. Just don't get too complacent. Just don't get too complacent. Doesn't mean you have to, like, kill yourself to, like, keep it the way it is. But don't get too comfortable. Don't let too many things fall. Don't get distracted. Don't get cocky about it. You know, continue to do your best and what you think is right. Right. So that's I feel like that one's a real minor one. Like I said, I don't think most people are on that track, but for the rest of you, we can definitely improve the situation. Yeah, look at that. The Empress. Freedom to create and express. Empress energy is all about creativity, but it's also about birth, right? Normally the Empress is pregnant, so what is it you want to create, right? Whether this is an actual physical product, like you're an artist and you make things, or this is just, what are we creating in the sense of our direction. We have the Hierophant here as well. Now these are two very interesting energies to come up against each other, because you have that really free, expressive Empress card, but then you also have this really structured and, you know, traditional Hierophant card that wants order, wants traditional, you know, routines. There are steps to getting to the next level, where this Empress energy just wants to be free and run around and make things happen, and we'll see what happens. Let's just try things. So there's going to be this kind of balance that needs to be negotiated between these two. So yes, I want to create, but there's and here we have the Tower card. This is where we find the balance between the two, right? So with the Empress card, we may be in a space where we just want total freedom and we just want to do things the way we want to do them. You know, it's kind of a little hippie energy, right? There we go. But then again, there's a need for structure. There's a need to have that integrate with other people, right? Because we can't necessarily do this all alone on our island, right? Eventually, you know, this may be a business thing, but eventually you may need to sell this to people, get your product into a store. Eventually you're going to work with other people, and that requires systems, right? Hierophant card is also a card of spirituality and religion, so what you do might be spiritual in nature. It certainly doesn't have to be. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. To me, it's more so about this total expression that needs to be kind of put into a routine. Not the most comfortable thing, but that's where this Tower card comes in and kind of shakes that energy into place, right? By breaking down all these things that keep us from growing, that keep us from moving forward, right? Because the Tower is a lot of our security blankets, right? That just kind of get destroyed. But then that's where we truly get this divine spark. Ace of Inspiration literally is that. It's kind of almost taking that free, unbridled creative spirit from the Empress and finding a way to channel it, finding a way to really manifest it, especially in the 3D, right? Because here we're talking about big universal energies. With the Minor Arcana, that's when it's, you know, it's on Earth, right? So we're reining in this you know, unbridled power and really harnessing it to actually create something, right? To take it and make it something physical. So there definitely is going to be a big shakeup along this road. Okay, no, that was just some weird... I don't know if you guys could see it, I got like hooked on my pinky. But there is going to be this I don't even want to, we're not even going to go there. I don't know, we'll see, maybe we'll go there later. But there is going to be this need for structuring. Hold on, someone got flung across the room. Yes! Alright, so we've got Page of Emotions here, which is funny, this came up in the first reading, but it came up in reverse. So you guys are using this energy to really tap in, right? There's a very, I always see this energy as one that is very kind of intuitive and psychic in nature. We talked about, you know, spirituality up here with the Hierophant, so this may be, again, connected to a spiritual practice, whether it's personal or that's what we're creating here in this particular reading. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. But to me, this Page of Emotions, the energy coming off of it is one about connecting to your intuition and connecting to, for some of you, this may even be like, I almost want to say like inner child work maybe for some of you, right? So it might be healing the inner child, which, to be honest, that's where a lot of this creative and positive, joyful energy a lot of times comes from. So the Three of Wands just flipped over. I don't want to take it as part of the reading, but that is an energy of bringing, or it is a card about, you know, bringing things into the physical, taking them from beyond just an idea and actually putting some action behind it. Okay, we're going to take those. Yep. Okay. So we have the Magician card showing up, which, again, this is the energy that you create, right? You are in control. You are manipulating the energies of the universe to create your desires, to make manifest the things you've been dreaming of. Because then we have this Nine of Cups. Wishes granted, wishes fulfilled. Again, there's so much connected to your dreams and your fantasies about what it is, like the life you want to live, the job you want to do, the just, whether it's work or money. I keep talking about money, so I feel like a lot of this is going to be about work stuff. But again, it doesn't have to be. We have the Three of Voices along with the Knight of Materials coming out. Three of Voices is the Three of Swords, so in a traditional text. So there is a lot of wounding that's going to be healed. I don't see the Three of Voices as something that's going to hurt you. I don't think this is something coming up. I think this is a lot of healing and moving past, you know, emotional wounds and scars. This is probably going to be brought up by the Tower card, right? So I almost want to say, like, once we get to the Tower card, all of this, so when I talk about this, I'm talking about like the Ace of Inspiration, Page of Cups, the Magician, and the Nine of Cups, or Nine of Emotions. This all almost kind of happens like that. Like, literally, it's kind of like this Tower moment happens. We kind of get this sudden realization and sudden, you know, like the big aha moment, essentially. And all of this kind of clicks into place, right? And it's I almost feel like it's all of this energy, right? We take this nine of materials out. It's kind of like we're in this vibe where we're trying, how do we harness this? What do we do with this energy? I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to go about it, right? Maybe I'm looking for someone to show me, or a mentor that can inspire me on what the actual, like, logistical steps are to make this happen. Tower moment happens, the big kaboom, things come in, you know, lightning bolt strikes, we get that inspiration, and then I feel like it's literally these two energies up against each other. So where we have all that expression, creation, you know, within these four cards, this is the desire and the kind of like the divine guidance to, this is what you're meant to do, this is what you're meant to create, this is what you're pulling out of the void, right? Up against this Three of Voices, which this is that hurt that says, you know, you couldn't do this, you're gonna fail, you're not capable. This is also probably going to be triggered by this Tower moment in a sense where I I almost want to say it's almost kind of like this is maybe disappointment where you thought there'd be support, or where you thought there'd be help and assistance, and someone really like deflated you, someone really shot you down, or really was just like, I thought you would be happy for me, but instead you were like, oh no, don't do that, that's not going to be good, that's going to lead to this, or you know, I've had experiences and it's gonna be super hard, and you're gonna da 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 da. Versus, you know, you want someone to be uplifting and encouraging, even if they have that opinion, right? They can. I don't think it's a bad thing that they share it if they have it, but you know, for that to be the only advice that comes out, and that can feel kind of deflating in a way, right? You just took all the wind out of my sails. After all, there's going to be a big kind of reckoning within you, really, about do I listen to myself? Do I follow my passions? Do I follow my inspiration to really make my dreams come true? Or do I get scared and shut down because, you know, the voice I wanted to lift me up didn't do what I thought it was going to do, right? Maybe it hurt me and wounded me instead of supported me, or it just left me flat, right? So then what do I do, right? So a lot of this inspiration, and you know, having the Ace of Inspiration on your side, a lot of the motivation that's going to be backing this is going to be coming from you, right? So if you want things to change, if you want things to shift, you have to be the one to do it, right? In this particular situation, no one's kind of holding your hand. It really is up to you. You're going to have to put in your own work. You're going to have to do your own homework, right? And it's not always like that, but this is one instance where really you kind of have to do it for you. Which makes sense why there's so much, like the Empress, the Ace of Inspiration, the Magician, the Page of Cups, or Page of Emotions. That's why there's so many things connected to desire here, because this is something you really want. You really want this, and you really have to kind of tune into that energy to keep you motivated and to keep you pushing, right? Especially because there's going to be some really negative, heavy emotions that come up to kind of push you back, to keep you from moving forward, right? And I've kind of always believed this, like as you kind of get closer to something, that's when things start to get in your way, because it really is like, oh, how bad do you want this, right? Oh, you think you can jump over hurdles? Well, here, let me put one in your way. Let's see what you do now, right? It's really testing your conviction and your commitment to this path and to this choice. To me, that's really what this Tower moment is bringing up, right? So yes, is it breaking down those like security blankets and those little safety crutches? For sure, but it's also bringing up some of this wounding that would normally prevent you from rising up. But it's also giving you so much inspiration to try and get you to be such a self-starter. And that's exactly what this Knight of Materials is. With all of that, this may be a slower start, right? Because we know Knight of Materials, not the fastest energy in the bunch. If I'm honest, probably the slowest. Definitely the slowest of all the Knights. So this is that energy where, you know, you kind of want to be practical, you want to be logical, we don't want to take too many risks here. Same with the Hierophant, it's kind of that tried and tested, you know, method. You know, it's worked for hundreds of years, it's going to continue to work. It may not be the trendiest or the flashiest, but we know it works. That's the energy this Knight of Materials is going to respond with and work well with. Thank you. So these two came up in reverse, but I'm not really reading them in reverse. Like literally when I went to pick them up and I wanted to do this immediately and flip them over. Which I think I still might do anyway. Okay, we're gonna talk about it both ways, because for some of you maybe you are connecting with it the other way. But I'm gonna leave them face up. But we have here the Two of Emotions as well as the Six of Emotions. So Two of Cups, Six of Cups. Now, with these two coming out, sorry, I said two, I meant seven. I don't know why two came out of my mouth. That was really weird. I don't know why I said two. Anyway, sorry, Seven of Emotions, Six of Emotions. With this particular energy in the upright, there is a lot of how do I want to describe this? There may be a bit of energy where you're kind of letting a lot of things go, which considering where we are with this eclipse, super, super positive. That's kind of the goal. And maybe that's why I want to upright them. That actually kind of makes sense. Anyway, the goal of what's happening with this eclipse season is really stopping to look at things with rose-colored glasses, making sure we're looking at things very factually, right? And kind of untainted, which kind of makes sense when you think about it, because there's going to be so much feeling and desire behind this. We also want to make sure we're seeing it as it is and not letting this color our perspective, right? Because in the upright, the way I kind of want to flip them, there's going to be more confusion, and also that looking back and remembering things as we want them to be, not necessarily how they should be. Where when we take these energies and reverse them, we have a lot more clarity, and we know what the right choices and decisions are, because we're looking at things kind of matter-of-factly, right? We're not letting ourselves be colored in a certain way, especially, because of our emotions shifting things. So that's going to be something that we need to be very aware of moving through this eclipse season, especially for those of you who chose this particular spread. So making sure that we're it's not so much being logical. I mean, that is part of it, but it's making sure we're not coloring things a certain way, making sure we're not remembering things or making things seem better than they really are. We want to be optimistic about a situation, but we also want to be dealing with facts, right? So it's not letting ourselves, imagine things that aren't really grounded. If that makes complete honesty. One thing that I kind of want to add that's kind of just specific to these two, because I almost feel for some of us this can be a bit of a distraction, for lack of a better word, but this could be describing someone you're returning, so an ex returning, or someone that you thought you'd maybe had left your life for a good reason. That's kind of stepping back in, right? And I say that because bottom of the deck for these two cards when they came out is that Knight of Emotions, which would be the Knight of Cups. So some type of, lover, some type of romance kind of sliding back in. But with the Six of Emotions coming in, I feel like this is a distraction. This is someone coming in that really doesn't need to be there. I don't think much has changed with this person. So if that's the case, if someone's coming in and you're starting to see the same red flags, kind of just expect it to be the same person. You want to let that go. You want to, if that person left already, or you let them go and they're trying to come back in, but they still are portraying the same thing, if they still, aren't respecting your boundaries or are trying to manipulate things with their words, especially if they're trying to manipulate you with your feelings, big red flags. Again, that may not necessarily be for everyone, but these particular two cards with this Knight of Emotions kind of giving me that vibe. Okay. Last card out, and we'll see how this all ties together. Oh, okay. Or we can just fling them out. Bottom of the deck. Knight of Inspiration. Love, 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 love. Inspiration, creativity, desire, huge thing in your reading this time. Love. Okay, so we have here the Star as well as the Nine of Inspiration in reverse. Now, if you've seen my readings before and if you've ever gotten the Star in reverse, you know I don't really read the Star in reverse. Just because to me that energy is so pure, it's the same message upright or not. So I'm not going to change it, but no, I'm going to read it the exact same. But to me, it's coming up reverse because this Nine of Inspiration in reverse is beautiful. This is you being able to surrender, being able to let go. Because normally this energy is very stubborn and very stuck in its ways. No, this is what I said I was going to do. This is how I've known to do it, and I'm going to make it happen this way, right? To me, this is the result of all this kind of healing and shifting and divine inspiration we have. Do we need some structure? Hands down, yes. But it's this divine kind of guidance. And even guidance isn't the right word because it's so much more internal. It's really coming from you. This isn't divine intervention. The Tower for sure is. But this is really about lighting that fire within and finding that inspiration within you But what that allows is for you to be very authentic and following your instincts and following your guts and following your own passions versus, you know, maybe factoring in other people's passions or other people's desires or even other people's opinions, right? You know, that may have been the pattern before, right? Or the thought process before. But with this night of inspiration coming up, like, you're like, no, I can't do that anymore. Look where it got me. Look how it served me. How do I feel in this moment? Not great. It's time I let that go. Like, I'm not gonna be stubborn and hold this ground just because it's what I'm used to or because it's what I know. I'm feeling so different about maybe myself, about my direction, about my desires and my dreams. I'm not letting that shape me anymore, right? Because I really want to kind of put these two together. Feeling this hurt, feeling this judgment, and getting to that point where you're like, you know what? I don't need to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't even feel good to me to do that anymore. And that star card is coming in literally to be like, okay, so follow your own light then. Be your own guiding star, right? Show yourself the way. But honestly, that insanely beautiful. And then we have that night of inspiration we talked about. Again, following your guts, following your passions, your desires. Even underneath that, you have the world card. So again, end of a major cycle. Wrapping this kind of stagnant, funky, muddy kind of way. And I say muddy because it just gives me that, like, we're just trudging along. Like, I'm trying to get there, but this mud is so thick, and I'm like, is this all I'm going to do? I'm just going to walk through mud? Nope. Nope. So there's a lot of... I talked about crumbling in that little beginning astrology moment I had in the beginning. For you, the crumbling, I think, is really about this, you know, current path. For some of you, this Hierophant might even be structure being forced upon you, right? So this may not even be structure that you need. This honestly may be structure that you thought you had to fit in with, or, you know, to be successful, I had to follow this path. This may be someone else's structure here that we're trying to break free from. So for some of you, that definitely could be the vibe as well. But the key here really is structure, whether we're creating one that finds more guidance and funnels your creative energy into something that's very useful versus one where you're just full of a bunch of ideas but nothing really comes of them, or you actually breaking out of something that feels restrictive and tight and kind of enclosing and finding ways to actually manifest things, right? But there's this big thing with structure in this particular spread. So either whether finding one that works or breaking ones that are really limiting, all right? Some of that may even be connected to this person, right? We talked about that 7 and 6 of emotions that came up being connected to, like, someone trying to, and it just, if that resonates with you, this is someone who's trying to come back in. I'm definitely not talking about a current relationship. That definitely feels like it's more someone returning, and that honestly may come up more with the retrograde at you know, I think that happens on the 29th. So still very, very close, but also still within retrograde season. Okay, we are gonna get some. Oh, you came out really fast. I'm gonna shuffle it one more time. If nothing comes out, we'll take that one by itself. Okay, see, I knew someone else was coming out. Okay, we'll start with this one. Yes. Oh, stop it. Look at the 2 cards you got. Okay. So first one out is Gaia. Connect to the pulse of Mother Earth. She will guide you through this time of change. Yes, we definitely know there's change coming. But look at that. You also have Earth Guide coming out with Gaia. So Mother Earth as well as Earth Guide, right? Your sacred calling upon this planet is to simply love and be loved. So as much as this particular card speaks about you being a guide on Earth, I also think there's going to be someone in the physical that is there to help you. As I kind of sit with that and kind of feel that card out, this may even be an Earth ancestor, so it could be someone who's passed, someone you were very close to, and their presence is definitely going to be felt during this shift. And they are trying to remind you, right, who you were, who you are, and who you're ultimately becoming. but how to love yourself through compassion and to support yourself. So that can come in many forms. Again, I feel like a lot of it is going to be someone physical, but I think, honestly, I feel like you also have an earth ancestor that's very, very close to you. For some of you, the way you connect with that is through maybe grounding outside, just being in nature for sure. But there's kind of a strong energy there with this earth guide inspiration, if I'm honest. And then your last card out is Transcendence. Love that. So prompt reads, transcend your mind's limitations and allow your soul's light to truly shine. Oh my God, if that really hasn't been what we've talked about, right? Taking that light and finding a way. We even talked about that with the three of voices, right? Combating that kind of darker meh stuff that's kind of being brought to the surface. But again, especially for those of you where this is about breaking structures, right? Allowing yourself past the limitations, allowing yourself to truly shine, right? Harnessing that Empress energy to its fullest, but not only harnessing it, but also funneling it into something and actually making it physical, like bringing it into the 3D. That's kind of the direction you're heading, which honestly, it's beautiful. We love it. We want to take advantage of all of that. So big shifts changing for you. Your path is not set in stone. Nothing is set actually for you. Like there's a whole lot that can still be done, and you are finding the inspiration to really break the mold in a huge way. So you should be very, very excited, all my Stack 2 people out there. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what stack you picked. I love to see how many people end up in which stack. You can also let me know how it resonated. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe and get that notification bell on. Best way to be notified when your next reading comes up. Until next time, my love, stay safe, take care of yourself, and I will see you in your next reading. Bye. Hey, stack number 3. Welcome to your reading. Let's get into it. I love this. So you guys have full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming. Beautiful. So this lunar eclipse bringing you a lot of clarity about your situation, bringing a lot of understanding. For some of you, there may be actual messages coming in. Sorry, been sitting in the same position. I'm gonna move around a little bit. Hold on. But lots of clarity, lots of communication. With this full moon coming in Gemini, the Mercury retrograde, I feel like, is going to be very, very significant for you. Not only because we're talking about Geminis, they're ruled by Mercury, but all of that is happening in the sign of Gemini this season, right? So Jupiter is pretty much practically all the way through Gemini. It's going to go retrograde next week and turn back around and head right back. And then once it goes direct, it'll move right back through Gemini. So especially for you guys, this Gemini season, well, I shouldn't say Gemini season, because to me it's more about the Mercury in Gemini more than it is this particular Gemini season. But this eclipse season, along with this retrograde, really bringing you a lot more clarity and understanding about situations. I think the retrograde is also going to be incredibly powerful for you because it's giving you a chance to really re-examine these things. Whether it's just an internal thing where you're reflecting over it and thinking about it and having little things pop up during the retrograde cycle that kind of force you to really reuse some of that understanding that we had the first time we went through these things, and allowing you to choose different and make adjustments and just really learn that lesson in a deeper way than we did the first time. Or literally some of those situations may actually be returning, whether they be an ex or a work thing or whatever, family matter, that person literally coming back, bringing up the same type of issue, if not the exact same thing, and actually giving you another chance to deal with it and really find resolution, right? So I'm excited to see what the cards have for you, but definitely all about clarity and understanding this particular eclipse season, my friends. And I will say this is going to be an energy you want to lean into, because the more you kind of like, this again, I don't want to talk to her, I don't want to deal with him, like, the more you push that away and kind of resist that energy, the harder it's going to be. So this kind of is going to be, this will be a reading you actually want to lean into. Okay, like literally as this card is just resisting you, we're going to keep that. Like that was, normally you shuffle, they fall back in, that one's like, no. So Six of Voices, first card out. Love this. This is all about transition. This is all about things getting easier, moving out of rough, choppy waters into smooth sailing. So things are going to get easier. The hardest part behind you, yeah, because look what didn't want to go away. The Death card, going through that rebirth, right? You are evolving, right? Or honestly, you have evolved. But this is, to me, this is why this clarity is so important. This understanding is really helping you to move on, right? But that's the big energy here with that Six of Voices. Yeah, because actually, I'm just going to show this to you. I'm not going to take it out, but this was the bottom of the deck. The Ten of Voices. That card does speak to betrayal and deceit and hurt, and it's literally like being stabbed to death in battle. But whatever this situation is, like, it truly has reached its end. There's no need to drag it out anymore. We really just need to sort it out, learn what we need to learn, and be done with it, right? Because you are moving on to much bigger and better things, right? So we need to let that go. We also need to forgive ourselves and everyone involved for how it played out. Whether we, whatever we think about it, we just have to. We just have to forgive. And look at these two cards literally coming out on opposite sides of the spread as I'm talking about forgiveness. Yeah, look at this. Okay, so we've got the Three of Voices, which is all about heartache and emotional pain, suffering, and the Five of Inspiration. So there may have been some type of contest here. With the Five of Inspiration, it's not so much, deceit and attacking. There may be a little friendly competition going on in the Five of Inspiration, but for me, I normally feel this is more internal conflict. So this is us fighting with ourselves, right? And you can kind of see it's the same, there's 5 figures, but it's the same person over and over again. So to me, this is an internal battle, an internal struggle, probably dealing with, or for sure dealing with, a lot of this emotional pain that we're suffering and dealing with. But this could have been, these opinions could really be about, should I feel this way? Is it okay? Am I overreacting? Should I do something about it? I really feel strongly about this. Is it even worth saying anything though? Like, does that person care? Or is this matter really worthy, right? So there's just a lot of ping-ponging going on, I think, concerning when we talk about these feelings. Which honestly makes sense why we need to find some clarity, kind of to release yourself out of this ping-ponging kind of vibe. Oh, okay, hold on. Someone decided to run to the floor. Where'd you go? There you are. Alright, so we have the Seven of Materials in reverse. So this is an energy of wanting to move too quickly. For some of us, maybe we ran away from something before it was time, or we tried to push something to fruition before it was really ready. Of course, nothing is ever going to succeed that way. It's literally like planting an apple seed and thinking you're going to be able to pick fresh apples tomorrow morning, right? And then being mad and frustrated that you couldn't, right? So a lot of this pain and frustration may be from just trying to force something that really couldn't be forced. Whether it shouldn't have been a thing or it just needed more time, it just depends on the situation. But expect clarity about that to finally be coming through, right? And actually, I say that. Look at that. 8 of Inspiration, bottom of the deck, all about messages coming in. Okay. I was like, I feel you wanted to come out. Yep. Here are with the Emperor. Love that. So part of your rebirth, for sure, is about finding your power, finding your strength. The Emperor card is also an energy of creating order, creating structure, right? It's almost kind of like we know what anarchy feels like now, but now we need to use that understanding to create order, to create balance, right? So that we don't have this go on again, right? We have here the 3 of Inspiration as well. Three of Inspiration is, yes, it is a card of waiting, but obviously we weren't waiting because we were trying to push the Seven of Materials away. To me, this Three of Inspiration is about taking proper action, right? Because this card is all about taking things from the ethereal and making them physical and putting some action behind it to take it out of just the world of thought. Okay? To me, that's where you stepping into this Emperor role is very, very key, right? And it makes sense the Emperor is falling out underneath the Death card, because that's where this shift, that's where this transition is pushing you and pulling you. And for the Emperor to be truly effective in his role, or his or her role, because it's not a gender-specific reading, you know, he needs to understand not only the rules of the game, but also, you know, I don't know why I wanted to say the players, almost like this was a chess game. You know, but he needs to understand the full scope of what happened. Why did things happen? You know, I know how, you know, I was impacted by this, but maybe any other people involved, what were they going through at the same time? How can we make things better? What is the, you know, ideal solution we're trying to reach here? You know, and can that be saved, and how do we save it? Oh. Queen of Materials in reverse, so feeling ungrounded, unstable, maybe not taking care of ourselves the right way. Then we also have the Justice card. So, could be dealing with an Earth sign, could be dealing with a Libra. You may be an Earth sign or a Libra. So, what are we talking about? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. But to me, this is still all connected to this Emperor. Especially, I talked about creating law and order. Literally what the Justice card is all about. Natural order, karmic law, finding equilibrium and harmony. Which makes sense. If you know, we left a situation feeling like this reverse Queen of Materials, feeling unsafe, feeling insecure, right? Not feeling protected, not feeling confident for sure. That's where this growth into the Emperor energy starts to heal, right? You know, and I feel like there's just a lot of, I mean, this may kind of be redundant because we've talked about it, but I just feel like there's a lot of things coming to light in a really positive way. Okay, let's talk about these before we get to the last one. And I say that because I'm looking at the Death card, you know, with this moth. Moths are nocturnal, they're going to come out at night. You know, we have this Three of Voices kind of happening in the dark. I feel like there's so many things that are kind of in shadow and being hidden that we don't fully understand. And a big part of this Gemini, a big part of this Answers You Seek, it's about all that was kind of hid in the, you know, under the surface, now kind of rising up and now kind of coming to the surface, so we can really see what happened. Knight of Emotions, definite apology coming in, as well as the Star, having hope and faith and optimism about this situation. So yes, this apology I think is going to be very, very profound, right? Someone's really going to be admitting to something. You are fully going to get the full picture of a situation, and someone's literally is going to offer it to you. They're bringing it to you and be like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry how this happened. I'm sorry the role I played in it. You also have to embody this energy of the Star. So that's really about hoping for the best, not being closed and expecting the worst. That card literally, yeah, see, I knew it just wanted to fly out. Where, there you are. Boom. Yep. Okay. So having the faith, having the optimism that, again, if this is something that we want to save, we want to fix, we can. We have to expect the best outcome. Expect miracles. This apology may itself be a miracle. That may be something we never thought we'd hear. All right? And then final card out is the Seven of Emotions in reverse. This is great. Because Because upright, that card is one of confusion, having all these options, maybe not necessarily knowing which one is the best or what they are. They're all kind of secretive. We don't know what's going on. Having it in the reverse, that confusion is sorted away. We know what cup we want to pick. We know what choice we need to make. We also know the direction we want to head in. This is that clarity that we started talking about with the Moonology card. You also have awakening at the bottom of the deck as we close up this reading. Oh, and temperance. Oh my god, we're going to take both of those. And the 10 of cups, or 10 of emotions underneath that, so the happily ever after. So this awakening card, again, is that rebirth we talked about with the death card. You finding a connection to this passion, you finding this calling, right? You literally stepping into this brand new being, almost. And then judgment being the divine intervention that's helping to show you the way, right? This is also the card of Sagittarius. That's where this lunar eclipse is happening. So really indicative of these kind of, this, I'm just going to leave it at divine intervention. I don't want to keep calling it other things. But it literally just feels very guided, almost fated for some of you. If the Wheel of Fortune popped up, I'd totally be like, this is fated. This had to happen. But even with the Justice card, dealing with karma, this is really about a realignment, right? And coming into a much purer, authentic, I almost want to say like energetic and physical alignment. I want to take that card. That one was fighting me. So beautiful, but yes, all about that clarity, all about that understanding, and really finding the truth of the matter. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, we are gonna put those back, but we will take you. That was a heat. People getting all over the place. Let's. All right. Yep. First card out. Release. Check that bad boy out. Prompt reads, release anything that keeps you from your path of authenticity. Did we not just talk about that? Did we not just talk about that? You guys also got Earth Guide. Stack 2 also got Earth Guide, actually, now that I think about it. Your sacred calling upon this planet is to simply love and be loved. Talked about that calling already, too. Talk about some synchronicities. I love it. So this Earth Guide, a lot of times when this card pops up, I always kind of see it as this energy of kind of you're the earth guide, like you're the guide on this earth. But the way you guide is just by being your best, being your authentic self, you know, being the light that you are. Like the card says, your calling is literally simply to love and be loved. So within this situation, you know, you may have had a lot of hurt, negative feelings against the other party who was involved, right? Whoever they were, for whatever reason. Honestly, I think the best way for you to show up in this situation is to forgive, is to let that go. Because that hurt only keeps you blocked, right? It's not serving you by any means. Especially if this person, you know, can be open and vulnerable enough to offer that apology. You should be, you know, open enough to receive it, right? So it's definitely worth opening up. But that's where this info and where this acknowledgement is coming. Oh my God, is coming through. Last card out, truth. We talked about truth coming to the light, didn't we? See your light, know your power, have the courage to walk your truth. So again, connecting to that idea of being your authentic self and walking in authenticity. But also this truth is about the clarity and understanding about what happened in the past, what happened in this situation, and how you're going to move it forward. And like I said, with this retrograde, you're going to get a second chance to deal with it, whether you have the second chance to revive it and make it happen and follow through, or shift it and alter it and turn it into something new, or take that lesson learned and apply it. So maybe you don't give up on the thing, but now you do it on your own, or you do it in a much better way, or you do it without the, you know, distractions or negativity that plagued it in the past, right? You are getting a second chance at this. Super exciting. And honestly, I probably, out of all of the readings, this one was probably the most like synchronistic. Like things are, like channels are definitely being opened for you. You just kind of have to be open to receive it and take them in. But you're ready, right? We started with the death card. You're already moving into that phase, right? But again, all about that truth and clarity. I love this reading. This is a good one. All right, my lovelies, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, I love you guys. Thank you for all your support and checking out this video. Make sure you smash that like button down below. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what stack you picked. I just love to hear how it's resonating for you guys. Also, make sure that you are subscribed and have that notification bell on. It's the best way to be notified when the new readings pop up. Until next time, stay safe, take care of yourself, and I will see you in your next video. Bye!